Hello everyone, how are you all doing? This is Insta here once again. It's been quite a while last time I did one of these videos. It's been pretty much a year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The reasons that I haven't posted in pretty much a whole year is life. Yeah, that's all there is to it. But I'm not gonna bore you guys with all those details. Just to keep you know, my life has been pretty busy. I've also written a book. It's currently being sent to publishers. I really hope to make that a reality as well. I haven't been sitting still. However, there's always been this itch, namely my YouTube channel. I have always enjoyed writing fanfiction, rewrites, stuff like that, reviews, and I'm gonna pick that up right as of now. This seemed a pretty fun comeback video to basically review all the films I watched in 2024, just like I did with the films of 2023. Stay tuned. At the end of this video, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my upcoming projects for this channel. I really hope you're gonna enjoy that, at least for the subscribers that have watched my previous work. 2024, in my opinion, has been an off year. I remember in 2023 that I watched so many films. I don't think there's ever been a year that I've visited my local cinema as much as I did in 2023. 2024, however, was a different story. Overall, it's a pretty mediocre year. I won't say it's a bad year, but it's been pretty mediocre. As you'll see, there are also not as many films that I'm gonna talk about as the ones I did with 2023. I'm gonna talk about all the films that came out this year that I actually watched. There are probably gonna be some well-known or pretty famous films that came out this year that I just simply didn't see because I just didn't care, or it didn't interest me, or it just passed me by, never got a chance to watch it, whatever. These are gonna be the ones that I actually watched. Jumping off, I'm gonna start off strong, gonna start off promising with Nosferatu. 8.2 out of 10. This is the last film I watched. I watched it only a couple days ago, but still, it's a 2024 movie. So, a beautifully shot thriller with an absolutely amazing atmosphere. The acting is good, the cinematography is perfect, the soundtrack is eerie, and the story is extremely captivating in my opinion. The only downside is that the film is extremely plot focused, which did cause for a good pacing, but didn't make me care all that much for the characters. That being said, still a very, very well made horror movie of Robert Eggers, and I definitely recommend everyone to see it now. Wicked Part 1, 8 out of 10. Impressive adaptation of the well-known musical, clearly slightly changed for modern audiences, but it still shows great respect and loyalty to the source material. It's got nice songs, great choreography, fun characters as well, and it's just a downright enjoyable, magical time. I really didn't expect it. Yeah, check it out. Gladiator 2, 6.9 out of 10, going towards the mediocre stuff now. The story and characters were far more complex than expected, which I loved. It kept me on edge till the very end, and had some very unexpected twists and turns along the way. A big surprise. However, this film just has laziness dripping off it. It's clear how Ridley Scott didn't want to spend too much time on it, which is a big shame. Add that with some big plot holes and some pretty surprising and shockingly disrespectful character deaths, and you have a pretty mediocre sequel to one of the greatest films ever made. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Substance, 7.2 out of 10. A huge surprise for me. It's a love letter for all the fans of the classic body horror movies of the 80s. This film just oozes Cronenberg. For all of those who want to know, my favorite horror movie of all time is The Fly with Jeff Goldblum from 1986, which was directed by Cronenberg. So if you know, you know. It's got some good, deeper themes to elevate it to a higher level, even though the final act can get extremely bizarre and gross and, dare I say, slightly goofy. Yet it is extremely gross, which was the point. You either love it or you hate it, but I respect the lengths this film went to in these times where most movies feel so safe. Red One, 6.5 out of 10. It's a perfectly fine and fun family comedy. The hate this movie gets is pretty unnecessary, I think. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense for the most part. And it has some pretty awkward editing at times, but it has a genuine nice heart and also some fun characters to keep it going. Not to mention some nice folklore it dives into. So yeah, it's fine. It's just fine. Deadpool and Wolverine, 7.7 out of 10. It's a love letter to the two characters. I immensely enjoyed this film as it taps into all the fanfiction, urban legends, and fan wishes you can imagine. The whole multiverse thing has gone on far too long, sure, but this film actually did it right. Even though it has a strong emotional core, I did wish certain big characters got a bit more weight and just a little bit more stuff to do. That being said, I really enjoyed this one. Dune Part 2, 8 out of 10. As grand, epic and awesome as you could expect, it fulfills all the hype and predictions after the first movie in great glorious fashion. Amazing world building, interesting characters, a beautiful score, amazing cinematography. This film is just made to watch on the big screen. However, and this is a pretty big however in my opinion, the pacing does feel off as the film goes on. Despite the long runtime, big moments do happen way too fast, while other more unimportant things take up a longer time. That's my only issue, but it's a pretty big one, I think. Joker, Folie à deux. 5.3 out of 10. Yes, this is beautifully shot, well acted, and clearly had a lot of production behind it. If those things weren't as excellent as they are, this would easily get a 0. Hate, absolutely hate what they did to the characters. The musical scenes were off and unnecessary. It's easily one of the most disrespectful films I've ever seen, and I'll never watch it again. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, 7.2 out of 10. A very well made prequel to a pretty small character in my opinion. The world building is great and I love the politics and characters it shows us. The action is also great, but sadly the pacing is all off. The movie never seems to build proper momentum and I never found myself caring about pretty much anything. Story-wise, it has great potential in ideas, but lacks in execution. Alien Romulus, 6.4 out of 10. Even though the production and Easter eggs are all very good, this was a big disappointment for me. The story is basic, sure, but most of the characters are very hollow. They do try some things, but it didn't really work out for me. Way too many winks to the cameras when talking about other films. And to my great shock, they managed to make the xenomorphs not scary, thanks to some ridiculous plot armor. The final 15 minutes do get really freaky, which I liked, if only most of the film had the same guts as those final 15 minutes. It's a shame. Speak No Evil, 5.5 out of 10. A very unnecessary remake of an excellent thriller, easily one of the most frustrating films of the year too. The build-up is all there, the acting is good, the suspense can be pretty effective, but the last act just gives one big middle finger, not just to the original movie, but the entire message of the story. It just makes it all pointless. It's a big disappointment and I'll probably not watch it again. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, 6.7 out of 10. A perfectly fine action flick with a talented cast and fun characters. The ideas are all there and the production is clearly very good, but again, it's a story that's lacking. It tries way too hard to be a Tarantino film and it just fails. There is hardly no tension, and everything just kind of happens. It's a pretty forgetful film in the end, but still fun, nonetheless, I guess. It's still a fun time, just has no weight to it at all. Borderlands, 2 out of 10. Do I even need to explain? Have you played the original games? Because I haven't, and I still couldn't stand this freaking thing. It's one of the most disjointed movies I've ever seen, with horribly miscast characters, terrible humor, awful pacing, just nothing memorable or even worth talking about. The fact this cost that much money to make makes it all the worse. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, 6 out of 10. It's as ridiculous and stupid as I thought it would be. However, the parts where it's only the Titans with no humans at all were surprisingly good and effectful. There is some good stuff here. It's better than Godzilla vs. Kong, if I'm gonna be completely honest, which I really don't like. It's a shame most of the film doesn't understand the fact that we don't need humans in these films. The action is good, but the fact they keep making these films in such a memeable way just annoys me. It could be grand, epic and fierce, but they appear to keep settling for stupid, fluffy and forgettable. It's a shame, once again. Transformers 1, 8 out of 10. Without a doubt, the biggest surprise of the entire year for me. I've fallen out of love with Transformers ever since I hit mid-puberty, but this film truly has a great story, awesome animation, very good voice acting. The pacing can be rushed, especially in the second half, but I managed to overlook it due to the great characters and story. I recommend this one to all the fans of the genre and the franchise. Madam Web, 3.5 out of 10. You know, at this point, Sony has to be one of the most delusional film studios in the world. How it can create the greatest games of all time, yet the worst superhero movies of this time, is beyond me. It's awfully written, terrible characters, very bland acting. There's hardly anything enjoyable about this experience. It's pretty fun to watch with friends and laugh at, I guess, but that's about it. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, 7.6 out of 10. I was hoping for this movie to be of the same level as the first trilogy. Sadly, this wasn't the case, as it has some story and pacing issues. However, this is still a very well-made film that deeply respects the previous films. The CGI is amazing, the music and acting are all good, the cinematography is also good. It's just a solid good movie, but just not as memorable as I had hoped it would be. Damsel, 5.5 out of 10. I'm honestly so ready for this whole girl boss thing to be over in movies. The story is a nice twist to a classic story, but instead of doing something actually interesting or refreshing, it just takes the usual route of women having to fight the evil system, and it just annoyed and bored me. It had potential, but it's just lazy. And now onto the final film I'm going to talk about, Kung Fu Panda 4, 6.5 out of 10. Easily the biggest disappointment of the year. It's luckily not a bad movie or anything, but it's just nowhere near the original trilogy. The comedy is off, the pacing is off, the timing of everything is off. This whole movie as a whole is just off. It's a shame because the story and characters again have huge potential and the ending is honestly very nice, but it just needed to be executed better like most movies on this list. So yeah guys, that's it. Those are all the movies I watched this year. I hope you kind of agree. What are your thoughts on these movies? Honestly, start up a discussion in the comments. I'm down for a good debate every once in a while. Talking about this project that I'm gonna be doing very soon. It's gonna be one movie rewrite, one fanfiction movie, and one fanfiction TV show. I'll be saying that the movie rewrite is one of the films that I talked about just now. As you can guess, it's a movie that I wasn't really too happy with. The movie Fanfiction is a film that doesn't exist at all, but would be very cool if it would exist. And the Fanfiction TV show is of a game that I played not too long ago that I think would make for a pretty good miniseries. So yeah guys, that's it. Stay tuned. I'm gonna be pumping out lots of stuff on this channel this year. I'm gonna be picking up the pace again, because honestly, writing this stuff, writing fanfiction, writing movie rewrites, talking about films and games and TV shows, reviewing stuff like this, it does give me joy. I just need to find the time to do it. That's life, I guess. Have a good one. This was Insta for you guys. See you soon.